Hi, this is Paul Sanneman from Business Success Tips, where you can learn to make more money in less time and have fun, especially the have fun part. That's the most important. Money can come and go, but you got to have as much fun as you can. So I'm excited to have Hugh Liddle with us, who is the owner of Red Cap Sales Coaching, right? And he comes
Yes, sir.
with a whole lot of experience. In fact, he just introduced me to a guy who's a legend. Ben Gaither, thank you. I appreciate that introduction. This guy's he knew Napoleon Hill. I mean, it's probably 5 people on the planet can still say that, right?
Right.
So thanks very much. So, Hugh, most of your people listening to this are contractors and they're smaller contractors. So I'm going to ask you some questions about first a little about yourself, how you got into it, why you're still coaching and why you're not retired, and go from there. So tell me about yourself, sir.
Well, I started coaching in 1970 when not in coaching, but in sales in 1970 when I got out of the Air Force. And I've sold a lot of different things over the years. And I had 5 job offers when I got out of the Air Force. And I chose the one that had to do with selling because I figured that I talked pretty well and there wasn't any ceiling on the income. And I just figured I'd be laughing my way to the bank every Friday and it was going to
All
be
right.
on. Turned out it was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. And there was a real
What were you
learning curve.
selling? I'm just curious, Hugh. What were you selling when you started?
I started out in financial services and did
Is it
that
like insurance and that kind of stuff?
insurance, financial planning, investments,
Got it.
that sort of thing. And I did that for over 10 years. And I actually did retire from that. And
Okay.
then I decided that I was way too young to be a gentleman of leisure. So
Okay.
I went back and started doing some more sales for different companies. And I've sold roofing, I've sold alarm systems, just a variety of things. The last job that I had before I started my coaching practice was as the sales manager at a local dairy up in Colorado. And
Mhm.
I had a team of 12 people who went out door to door and sold subscriptions for milk delivery. And,
Wow.
and so a lot of different things, a lot of different ways. I wasn't very good at selling when I first started. And it took me some time to learn how. And one of the reasons that I started my coaching business was to teach people what it took me many, many years to learn and help them learn that in a very short space of time so that they can be sales wizards like I am.
Right. Well, they use that quote all the time. A wise man, what is it? A smart man learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And I'd rather be wise than smart for sure, right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to ask you a question. So you got obviously background, years and years of sales. Can you help our people listening to this? Whether contractors when they're salespeople. I mean, they're selling architects, they're selling their clients and that kind of thing. So I'm going to get some coaching here, okay, that I'm going to pass on to them. Let's say I'm a contractor and I want to go meet an architect because an architect is going to send me business, right? So I walked into the office. How would I approach an architect as a contractor in order to win their confidence, do you think?
Well, first of all, let me ask you this. What's in it for the architect to even sit down and talk with
Well,
you?
I use this analogy, it's probably a bad one, but he's already got a girlfriend and it's not me.
Okay. The what's in it for me concept is one of the most important in selling. So the very first thing that you have to do is sit down and figure out what would an architect, what would an end user customer, what would anybody with whom you want to do business, what's in it for them if they work with you? What is it that you have to offer that's unique, that's valuable, that will really help them in some way? And the old style of selling was the features and benefits.
Right.
And now the features really aren't important because before somebody agrees to talk to you, they've probably researched you on social media and all over the internet. and they found out that you're a pretty good person, you know what you're doing, you haven't scammed anybody, you don't have any bad
Right.
reviews.
I mean, they couldn't do that stuff here. I mean, I used to use, I tell people the last MASH episode. I remember that there was I remember the commercials, like one of the most expensive commercials ever done. I think Yamaha did it. And what happened was they had this guy in a bar, right? And he walked out of the bar, and there was like a motorcycle and a bunch of guys hanging out. And the super hot, sleazy chick, right, was hanging out. Everybody had a frown on their face except this guy. Had a big smile, right? And so she gets on the motorcycle with him and he rides off. So what were they selling? Right. And it wasn't how fast the motorcycle goes, right?
That's right.
Or the features of it had so big an engine or whatever. Basically say, buy the motorcycle and get the girl. So I think a lot of guys lose the benefit thing, right? They're contractors, especially because they're talking, well, I'm the best guy in town. Here's my track record. Here's my build big houses. I'm a good guy. And they list all the reasons why they're an amazing contractor, which generally doesn't work very well.
Well, it doesn't, because nobody cares. The only thing that your prospect cares about is what's in it for me. So tell the person what's in it for them. And the way that you do that is make value statements that start with the word you. You can have, you can do, you can be, you can achieve, you can take advantage of, you can. And right. All of you cans have to do with the result that they can receive if they work with you as a contractor. And I like to use this analogy. I love sausage. I love almost anything that comes off a pig. Sausage happens to be my favorite.
Okay.
I don't give a rip what's in it. I don't care. Right. I don't care how that's made.
You probably don't want to see him make it, because that doesn't sound like it's going to look very good, right?
I don't care about all of that. All I care about is when it comes out of the frying pan next to my eggs or pancakes, it better make my tongue jump up and beat my brains out, because it's so good.
Right.
You know that I'm a singer-songwriter in addition to being a sales coach. If I told you everything that it takes to write a song and to record a song and to really promote a song, you'd be bored out of your skull. You don't care about all of that. All you care about is whether you like the song or not. And it's the same way with the people that you sell to, the architect or whoever. What they care about is what they will get from it if they do business with you. So talk to them about that rather than what you do and how you do it.
Okay. So let's say maybe the same with the homeowner. I mean, I had the same, experience here. I actually produced an album, and I think it cost me $14,000 or $15,000 to produce it. It's called, with Mostly for Kids. I think I got $400 back so far, and they had a couple 100,000 downloads, right? So you don't do it for the money. And so homeowner, same thing. You're visiting a homeowner. Give me some examples of how a contractor walking into selling a remodel or whatever they're trying to do here can get the confidence of the homeowner, because I think when they're walking into the door, he's already a contractor, so they don't trust him. I mean, no offense, but they don't have the world's best reputation as a group. I mean, they may not deserve it, but they still got it. So how does the homeowner, when he comes into the contractor coming to him, how does he develop that confidence and close the deal? You work with HVAC guys. Tell me some examples.
Well, first of all, building rapport is tremendously important. And that means finding some common ground. Okay. And that means asking really good open-ended questions and letting the homeowner talk about themselves a little bit.
Okay. The more they talk, the smarter you get, right?
Are you originally from Florida, or did you come from someplace else? What do you do for a living? Tell me a little bit about your family. What do you like to do just for the fun of it when you're not working? Okay. And of course, you're obviously going to be asking all kinds of questions about their home, about what they want. I always teach the people that I coach to do a verbal agreement.
Mm-hmm. What's that look like?
The verbal agreement has 3 paragraphs to it. The first one is asking permission to ask questions. The second one is telling them, then we can talk a little bit about how you can have exactly what you want in in your remodel or in the job that you want done. And the third paragraph is to say, I want to make you a promise. I am not going to try to talk you into doing anything you don't want to do. The goal is just to find out what you want and to find out whether working with me would be a good fit or not. Okay. So at any point in the process, if you feel like it's not going to be a good fit, it is perfectly okay for you to say so. And don't worry, my feelings won't be hurt. And I think when you see what you really can gain, what you can really have, when you have me do a project for you, you're going to love it. And if you do, then we'll go ahead and figure out the best way to proceed. How does that sound to you? So that, in a nutshell, is the verbal agreement. Well, now they trust you because you've promised them that you're not going to try to get them to do anything that they don't want to do. And it's amazing what happens when you say that to somebody. You'll see their shoulders drop. They'll start to breathe. Sometimes they'll say, oh, thank you so much for telling me that. Man, the last sales guy I talked to was just obnoxious, you know. So, and I want to talk just a little bit about my philosophy of selling because it's a little bit different than what
I'd like to hear that.
From my perspective, it's not your job as a salesperson to get other people to do what you want them to do or what you think they should do or even what you know they should do. Your job is to find out what they want to do and then help them do it if you can. And the reason for that is because people don't buy what they need. They buy what they want.
True.
So you could take a tour through my garage and see how true that is.
Well, you can ask anybody. I mean, it's interesting. Like I use the food analogy, right? Like everybody knows how you get in shape. You eat right, you exercise, and that kind of stuff. And yet we're a fat nation because McDonald's is way better at it than gyms, right? So
yeah, it depends on what you want.
That's right. So question, how do you, like, you've worked with HVAC companies, that's in construction, right? So maybe give me a story, you don't have to give the names exactly, but how you helped an HVAC company do a better job of selling, be more profitable. I'm sure you've done that. So give me some examples if you can.
There is a huge HVAC company in Lincoln, Nebraska, and one of my business partners and I did a 2-day workshop there. And the result of that was that they almost doubled the number of the amount of sales that they made just with people that they were talking with who needed one thing and they upsold to something else because they asked lots and lots of questions. They didn't just go in and say, okay, well, you need some air conditioning parts or you need an air conditioner. What about your plumbing? What about, and if they wanted to buy an air conditioner, what about a service contract? In fact, that particular company ended up making almost as much money per year selling peripherals as they did selling their bigger products.
Well, I've heard the same story from another one of our podcast people. They said that he built a company like 250 million doing plumbing, that kind of thing. He says if a client calls you and you come out and you want to fix their water heater, they come out, you fix their water heater, and you leave, you do a good job. He says you're screwed. He says that they're not going to report you on Facebook. They're not going to be a raving fan. They're basically going to go, you're done. You fix the water heater, and you're done. So how do you shift that to an HVAC company or contractors when they come in and discover those things and actually make that difference?
Asking open-ended questions is the only way to do it. And that's
give me some examples of open-ended questions a contractor could ask.
How happy are you with whatever it is, whether it's whatever peripherally? How happy are you with your water pressure? How happy are you with how clean your?
I guess it could be like when are you excited about cooking dinner in your kitchen, or do you look are you not excited, right? That kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and it's always an open-ended question that can't be answered yes or no. Okay. It has to be something where they have to think about what the answer is. So whatever it is that you take care of in addition to, and that could even just be a service contract, how would you like to fix it so that you don't ever have to worry about how much it's going to cost you to have a repair done?
Okay. So doing the open, and I guess 2 day seminar, I guess the RO on that seminar was pretty good, right? If you look at what it cost them, what they got back. Another question I have is, when you're trying to get your salespeople or the contractor to change their behavior, implementation, I've been a coach for 40 years. I mean, knowing what to do is a teeny bit, getting it done is huge. So as a coach, how do you actually make implementation happen? I mean, you can read this book, read that book, do that, but how do you get them to do it?
Have a script done, which I do. Rehearse it, role play it, practice it until it's just second nature. You don't even have to think about it. And particularly have a script for answering objections, because they are going to come up. I want to think about it. Gee, that's awfully expensive.
So let's role play here. You've done this for years. Okay. So I'm the buyer, you're the contractor. Okay, I'll give it well, that sounds good to you, but I really, that's a big decision for me. And my wife and I really need to think about it before we can commit to anything.
Well, listen, I can appreciate that, because you're about to make a really important decision here. It's going to determine how comfortable you are. It's going to determine what your electricity bill looks like. It's going to determine really just a lot of different things. And also it concerns money. And so it's really, really important to make the right decision.
Right.
So let me ask you this. What questions do you still have in your mind that really haven't been answered yet?
Well, I mean, maybe whether this is where we want to put that. I mean, it's $100,000. I could go buy a new car for that, right? So, I mean, it's a lot of money to us. And I don't know whether I'm going to get $100,000 worth of enjoyment out of that. It's probably a tough question, but is it where we as a couple want to put $100,000 in that kitchen? Because that's a lot of money to us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do understand that. And it just depends on what it is that you really are looking for. What is it that you really want? So let me ask you this. How much did you have in mind? How much too much is the quote?
Well, 100, I mean, maybe 75. I mean, it's not really the quote as much as like, I mean, I don't doubt, Hugh, that you give us a value, but I don't know whether it's worth $100,000 to have a better kitchen than we have now. I mean, a kitchen we have sucks. I get it. It's not big enough. The appliances are old. I feel like I'm living in an old movie every time I go to my kitchen. So, but that's a lot of money. So how do I justify that kind of money for just improving my lifestyle?
How important is it to you for your wife to be really, really happy?
Lisa, don't answer that. I mean, come on, you're hitting below the belt. Happy wife, happy life. I know that, right? But it's a lot of money. But I guess keeping my wife happy is pretty important in my life, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I can't really tell you whether it's worth it to you or not. You're the only one who knows that. So
now you're telling me if I get this new kitchen, excuse me, I'm going to have a happy wife. Is that in the contract somewhere?
That would be my guess, because you called me.
Well, actually, she called you, to tell you the truth. But...
Okay, so there's a reason why you did that, and I will make you a guarantee. If she's not happy, I'll be tremendously surprised. because it's going to be an awesome kitchen.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll do it, because life's short. Why not? I mean, it sounds good to me. Let's do it.
All right. So
There we go.
that's kind of that off the top of my head.
Well, it's good because those are typical objections, right? They're not,
They are.
I have to think about it. Let's do the cost too much. Okay. So, Hugh, I've had another couple of contractors in here. I really like you. You're a nice guy. You presented something well. In fact, your proposal's the best, no doubt about it. But, Frank down the street here, I mean, he's a friend of a friend kind of thing. He looks like he's going to do for 75,000, which you're doing for 100,000. So I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. I mean, you're a nice guy, but you're not a $25,000 nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, Frank knows what the value is of what he does, and I do too. And there's a reason why the investment is what it is. And really, it's based on years of experience. It's based on the fact that you're working with somebody who has done so many jobs for so many people who are just totally happy. And I'm sure you've seen all of the recommendations on the web.
I went to House. I saw your reviews, and obviously everybody loves you. I got that part. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of what you want done and how you want it done. And there is a difference. There's always a difference between services or products depending on price. And it's up to you to decide whether having exactly what you want and done exactly right the first time is worth the money to you or whether it's not.
So you're telling me you're going to do a better job than Frank? He's $25,000 lower, right?
I'm sure that Frank is absolutely tremendous at what he does, and I don't know about his work. I do know about mine, and I know what you're going to get when you work with me, and I know you're going to be really happy with it.
Okay. So can you help me, Lisa and I, justify the other 25,000? I mean, I don't question you, but how can we justify the other 25,000? It looks like the same kitchen to me.
Well, once again, it's determined by the materials that are used, the workmanship, and if Frank can do exactly the same job that I can do, and he can do it for $25,000 less, you should go with Frank.
How do I tell whether your job and his job are the same? I don't know how to read all these. I mean, he could change order me. I don't get. I don't even know what I don't know around this, Hugh, because I've never done a kitchen remodel before.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, and the only thing that I can tell you is that I know you're going to be happy with the job that I will do. You've talked to Frank already. I don't know whether you're as comfortable with him and you're as comfortable with his experience. If you are, you probably should go with him. $25,000 is a significant amount of money.
Well, what worries me is why he's 20. I mean, you all pay the same labor, you all pay the same people. I don't see how he can do the same job for 25. I guess that concerns me because I look at, labor's labor and materials and materials. He's not buying someplace you're all going to buy the stuff at Home Depot or someplace, right? So I don't get how he can give the same kitchen for $25,000 less than unless you're overcharging me or something.
It wouldn't be the same kitchen. I
Okay.
can't do that. And part of it is workmanship, part of it is experience. It's taken me 35 years to learn how to do what I do. I don't know how long Frank's been in business. If he's been in business that long and he has the same amount of experience and he can do the same thing, then you should go with Frank. If you want to be absolutely positively sure that the job is done the way that you really want it done, you should really consider going with me. So what do you think is your best option?
Well, I'm a little worried about Frank because I don't see how he can do it for that. I mean, I think like I don't think you're overcharging me, Hugh. So he's not going to get change order. Something's going to happen, but I really don't think you hear all these nightmares about contractors and how they come in and they change order you to death and all that kind of stuff. I'm worried about that. I have a real concern that it's going to be 100,000 anyway, and I'm not going to know until I'm too far into it to change.
All right. Well, let's say we go ahead and get started.
You got me. Let's do it. Okay.
All right. Now, the most important thing about that interchange is that not once did I offer to drop my price, and contractors don't ever do that because the deeper the discount, the bigger the pain in the ass. And that is the absolute truth.
Well, I've seen that over and over again. I mean, people cut some super deal, then they're the worst clients you ever had. I get that.
They are. Yeah. They'll be the most demanding. They won't like this and they won't like that. And they'll want this done over again, and you'll lose your shirt. So, you know what it takes to do the job that you do and to have the profitability that you need to pay your people, to have the lifestyle that you're looking for, to make it worth your time and effort to do the job. Don't settle for anything less. And I was willing to let Paul go down the road and do the job for 75 instead of 100 if that's what he really wanted to do, and if he really thought that was the best thing. And he didn't even think it was the best thing. He was just testing, I think, to see if I would come down on my price.
That's probably true.
No way. So
that's great advice, Hugh, because I think a lot of contractors they cut their margins in hope that it's going to work out, but my experience after many years of doing this, it generally doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not a good place to come from. Well, you have any brilliant? So we talked a while here. You have any you're like a mentor? You've been doing this for years. Do you have if I was going to tell contractors three things? I met a guy in a bar, or wherever I met him, in a health food store, pick a number, and I'm never going to see this guy again. And he has a construction company, and I'm saying, hey, Hugh, I mean, I'm getting on a plane. I'm going back to Connecticut or wherever. Can you tell me three things that I really need to do that is going to make a difference in my company?
I think that the first things, sales wise, is to realize that selling is important, and it's something that we all do every day anyway.
You sell your wife, you sell your kids. You got anything you want.
We've been doing it since we popped out of mom and dad's womb.
Right.
It's we've been selling all the time, all of our lives. It's not a matter of whether you're a salesperson or not. It's a matter of how good you are at it. And to be good at it, you need to have a script that you practice and that you know without even thinking about it. And you need to ask all of your questions open-ended and use you statements instead of us, me, my, I, our.
Right.
And those are the three things. If you do those three things, you can become great at selling in a very short period of time.
Very good. The script, using you statements, and what was the third one?
Open-ended questions.
Open-ended
all the time, every time.
Okay, use statement, open-ended questions, and have a script. Great. Now, if you don't take anything away from this, guys and ladies, that's worth your time listening to this whole podcast, in my opinion. That can change your life. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. That's some really great insights. If people want to work with you, Hugh, how do they find out about you?
Well, the best thing to do is go to my website at redcapsalescoaching.com. And on every page on the website, there's a link that you can click, and it will take you to my calendar. You can book an hour of my time, and it won't cost you a dime to do that. And there is no obligation for you to do anything that you don't want to.
I'm afraid you're such a good salesman, Hugh. You're going to talk me into it.
and there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever.
Okay.
Because I practice what I preach. I really do.
That's
so in that time, you can ask questions. You can tell me about your business. You can Ask me anything that you'd like to. You'll get some more ideas and strategies to increase your sales. And at the end of the conversation, you might want to hire me as a sales coach, or you may not. And either way, it's just fine with me.
I guarantee you're going to learn something from that conversation, right? Somebody can't have a conversation with you for an hour and not take some amazing things away, I would think.
So that's redcapsalescoaching.com. Do that. And there's also a bunch of free stuff on there too that you can take it.
Cool. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Hey, guys and girls, if this is somebody who's been doing this for years, he's really good at it, and he just volunteered an hour of his time to help you be better at sales. If you don't take him up on it, I don't think that's a smart thing, because it's great advice. And if you just call him and talk to him, I guarantee you're going to leave there smarter than you showed up on that phone call. Again, Hugh, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being here. I have to remind, don't forget to subscribe below. My son always tells me that. So hit the subscription below if you find this valuable. Thanks a lot, Hugh. I appreciate being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.